plan entails and what it would actually look like in practice. And I have to admit, I have a PhD in education, and I found parts of the plan vague and unclear. The current plan was only in sanitation was only made public on June 14th and doesn't provide much insight into what these assessments are actually going to look like in practice. I urge the superintendent and the members of the board to delay implementation of the quarterly assessments plan for next year so that there can be more community-wide discussion involving students and teachers about how Montclair should best serve our students and address the Common Core standards. Thank you. Hi, I'm Jennifer Prost. I live at 51 Christopher Street, and I just received the latest frequently asked questions right as I was leaving, and I read them quickly, so if I misunderstood, I hope you can correct me here, but what I read was that you're going to develop this new curriculum over the summer and the assessments and share it with the teachers during professional development days in September, right before school starts, taking the teachers' input and then revising them and having them start to teach from that curriculum on Monday. That gives them doesn't really give them any time, as far as I could tell, to make lesson plans based on these new assessments and these new curriculums. So that kind of baffled me, and I know you can't answer me, but that is my main question. My second question is something that I think is maybe a misunderstanding on my part. About teaching to the test, and we're talking about test prep, and maybe those are, I think those are, to me, those are very different things. I feel that if you're going to have more assessments, then there has to be more preparation for those tests. And I don't mean to teach to the test at every point, and I understand that most people here don't want that, but you can't teach, I don't know, maybe it's a vocabulary thing, but for me, teaching to the test and test prep are two different things, and I hope in a future frequent asked questions you can clarify that. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maggie Goldberger. I'm a sophomore at Montclair High School, and I live at 194 Alexander Avenue. And I represent the Students United for Change Facebook group, which is fairly illegal. We have 192 active student members. I've also been, after I heard about this plan, which was earlier this month, I've been going around the school with a lot of other students, talking to students in all different parts of the school. That includes our petition, which had 568 signatures. And a lot of students, from what we understand, we're very shocked to hear about this plan. We feel like a lot of us were not engaged in the planning of this plan, and we feel underrepresented and ignored. We do see the achievement gap. We do understand the problems that face our school. We do see the segregation in our school, but we believe that testing is not the way to fix these problems. We think that testing damages, but it disengages many students, especially low-achieving students. And it sort of spreads the message that the district is not willing to engage us in a conversation. They're only willing to give us impersonal surveys and tests. We believe that you can see this atmosphere of our school far better from coming to school, sitting in a CP class and an AP class, eating in the cafeteria with us, than looking at surveys, which, from personal experience, having taken some this year, a lot of students really don't take seriously or ignore because they would rather study or go hang out with their friends than fill out a survey. We think that we really need to be engaged in this process, and we're really asking for you to delay this plan by 1 year because we think that students, who seem to be the most integral part of this plan, have played a very minimal role in its planning. We feel like we're being treated as data instead of students. We feel like we're part of some sort of business or some sort of organization, but not a school. So please hear the students, engage with the conversation with us, respect us, treat us like adults, because that is the only way that you're going to encourage low-achieving students to achieve higher, not by testing them and treating them like data. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Michelle Fine, 191 Cooper Avenue. I know many of you from many parts of my life. As we all know, across the nation, Montclair is a widely respected, exemplary, desegregated district. We're committed to educational and racial justice. We're committed to high standards and equity. We're committed to the vibrant creativity of educators and the noisy participation of community. Today we find ourselves facing a new educational challenge, what it means to sustain high-quality, desegregated schools in times of widened inequality gaps when there's a national press for testing. Montclair has always been in the forefront of educational innovation. We have never been a follower. Three things I want to say because of tonight's presentation. One is that having high standards are not the same as assessments. Standards are certainly not the same as tests. No one here does not support high standards. Many of us do not want more testing above the Common Core. Second thing I want to say is teachers are very smart and attuned to their students. They know which students are struggling. They know which students need help. They don't need a common assessment or formative assessment to make that judgment. We're using my time. The third thing I want to say is that parents and students tonight and community are just asking for you to defer for a year. It seems to me we don't have consensus, and every major initiative in this town has been because of ongoing conversation between educators, parents, and students. I hope Montclair joins professional associations like the American Association of School Administrators, the AFT, the NEA, the National School Boards Association, the National PTA. They are all Common Core supporters, and they are all calling for a moratorium on additional testing. In New York State, more than 1,000 principals signed a petition calling for a moratorium on high-stakes testing. The superintendent and Board of Education of Scarsdale, New York, and Bloomfield, New Jersey have called for a reduction. Bloomfield, a big competitor. Historically, Montclair has led the way to educational equity. We have not followed. It would be a grave policy mistake to pursue more intensive testing or assessments that would diminish faculty creativity, undermine the quirky distinctiveness of our gorgeous magnet system. Unfortunately, more testing leads to more tracking, which leads to more segregation, and despite claims to the contrary, widens achievement gaps. Given our standing in the nation, Montclair has an obligation to advance a vision of educational equity. Michelle, thank you. You're welcome.
John Woodruff, Alana Halberstadt, Irish Shore, Connor O'Brien.
My name is John Wadnick, and I live at 133 High Street in Montclair. There have been many speakers who've spoken at this point, but I just wanted to add my voice to say that I was struck during your presentation of the quarterly assessments that you spoke about having these assessments at 10-week intervals, which would allow us to adjust our instruction. And it struck me that teachers are constantly adjusting their instruction based on formative assessments, both small and large, high stakes and low stakes throughout the year. And they don't need a common quarterly assessment imposed upon them to do that. The professional teachers that we have here in our district are quite good at assessing students' needs and responding to students in their own classrooms. So I was wondering about the assumption that seemed to be that only through these quarterly assessments could we possibly adjust our instruction to student needs. I feel that that's an assumption that's not warranted. The other thing that I was struck by is, and I was very happy to hear this, that the small learning communities in the high school would be allowed to design unique assessments for their small learning community. For instance, you gave the example of history being taught thematically as opposed to chronologically, and I'm all for that. I was wondering if perhaps we could consider each magnet school in the elementary grades as a small learning community in a similar vein, allowing the magnet schools to design their own assessments that they would use for improvement of instruction or for adjustment. I don't see the need to impose these quarterly assessments across the district, especially in the lower grades. So I was wondering if that might be considered. And also, just on the final note, it strikes me that many of the objectives in under Goal 1 say by June 2015, by June 2015. It's only these quarterly assessments that say by June 2014. And I think that that's unwarranted. I don't see the rush. I don't see the need for a rush to these quarterly assessments, which are quite disruptive to the flow of what the educators and the students of Montclair have come to expect. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It is great to see such a beautiful crowd here tonight in Montclair. I am going to pick up where Regina Tuma was not able to finish reading the petition. This raises serious questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Ilana Halberstadt. That's how it's, yeah. And I'm at 6 Amelia Street in Montclair. Continuing the petition where Regina Tuma left off earlier. This raises serious questions about the future of teaching and learning in the school district we love. Will the imposition of these tests undermine the unique personality of each magnet school? Will the imposition of these tests undermine the initiative and creativity of our best teachers? Will data review geared towards competition undermine authentic teacher collaboration? Will data review damage authentic learning opportunities for a wide variety of students? To that end, we, the undersigned, urge the Montclair Board of Education to defer the adoption of district-wide quality assessments that go above and beyond those mandated by the state of New Jersey for compliance with Common Core curriculum for the 2013 and 2014 school year. We are asking the BOE to vote on this tonight. We also have a copy, which I will, when I'm finished speaking, I can bring over to Ms. Robin Coleman, if that's the appropriate person to deliver it to. And I just wanted to read a little bit about, from my comments, which, let's see if I can get most of it in. So my family moved to Montclair almost 3 years ago. We're still settling in. We're still unpacking. I'm so grateful for the wonderful friends and community we're finding here, many here in this room today. We consider other towns, but every realtor here said, no, only Montclair, the schools are great. We talked to family who lived here already and whose sons went through the system here. No, you can't go to Brookfield or other places. You must come here to Montclair where it's great. We knew the schools were desegregated. We knew there were magnet themes. We came here for the schools at great sacrifice. We're not here for the shops or beautiful architecture, although that's lovely to look at. When my son started kindergarten in the fall, we were so excited. Our bus stop is a mini United Nations, a true diversity. Every day we see each other and greet each other. Just the other day, my son told me how he wants to stay in his school forever. However, I am shaken to my core by the strategic plan and data-driven instruction that is counter to everything we believed we were going to experience in our schools. For example, we love the Lucy Coken's Writers Workshop Program. Will that remain? Will there be live instructors for foreign language in K-5? Will our new school officer leaders bring innovation, creativity, imagination, excitement, and joy to our district?
Montclair needs to be original, out of the box. Let's color outside the lines, Montclair. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Ira Shore. I'm at 302 North Mountain, and I've been at this podium before, so I'd like to just begin by saying that we have had dialogue with the BOE before, speaking from this platform. 3 years ago, I posed a question to Ms. Lombard, and she answered it. And I can tell you what the question is. I remember it. The question was about Harvey Susswein's plan to recover out-of-district special ed placements to reduce the cost of that program. I asked the question to Ms. Lombard when she was head of the BOE, and she stopped and she answered, and she consulted other members of the BOE. We had a small dialogue. So to make up the rules as we go along is not honoring democracy. So I would like to encourage us to live with each other's discomforts if we can, okay? Because democracy is an uncomfortable thing, and we can speak very openly to each other without living in fear. Thank you. Now, in addition, I read the report, the plan that came out. What I noticed is that none of the pages include a provision for reducing class size. Now, this is one of the most powerful ways to increase student achievement, and yet in all the pages and goals and objectives and plans, nothing addresses class size, which has been creeping up. In addition to class size, there's no mention of essential aids. Yes, that's right, class size. We know from the research literature that class size makes a difference. It was demonstrated 30 years ago in the STAR program of Tennessee. State of Tennessee assessment reform. And it's been on books in the research literature for 30 years, and yet not one reference is made in the pages of the plan. It's especially important for addressing the achievement gap. That no student benefits more from small class size than do low-income students and those who are falling behind. All right. How you can leave this out of the plan and consider the work done amazes me, it astonishes me. So the plan is not complete, and we do need a moratorium because there are issues that have not been properly discussed. In addition, the ambitious plan to address the high school needs, like for refurbishing the plant and high-tech needs, it's obvious that this is going to be very costly. So in the plan, you must have a provision that says the BOE will never send back to the town council any surplus. Now, this has been going on for the last 3 or 4 years to the amount of $30 million, and now we see just how much we need all the money that the BOE sends back. And where is that money that we need? It's no longer in our possession. We can't address it to the important things. So to have a plan that addresses that these surpluses were good purposes. The last thing I'll just try to say in a hurry is that my time is up. Okay.
Katie? Yes. Abraham Dickerson, Danielle Gibner, Rachel Egan.
Hi, I'm Carly Ryan. I live at 229 North Street. I'm a Montclair High School student, a sophomore, and a proud member of the Civics and Government Institute. Before I get to my main point, I just want to say that I read the frequently asked questions on the website, and they're vague, unspecific, and they don't answer any of my concerns as a high school student. But that's for another time. The main point that I want to touch on is student involvement in this discussion. From the beginning, we have been excluded from all of these discussions. Why have we not heard anything about this plan until just weeks ago? Why don't we have a representative on the Board of Education? We, as Montclair High School students, should have our opinions heard and considered before something of this magnitude is put in place. I know that Common Core standards mandate I know the Common Core mandates tougher standards next year, but there are certainly temporary measures that can be taken while we figure out a plan that fits the needs of this district. This is being thrust upon us way too quickly, and we have over 560 signatures from students as frustrated as I and those who came here today. What we really need to do is push at least the Montclair High School academic side of this plan back indefinitely, so we can have an actual discussion about this, and this time with us involved. There are plenty of great aspects about the strategic operating plan, including the restoration of elementary school world languages, which I think is fantastic. But for the high school side, it needs major work, and input from those who will be affected by it will help balance the Common Core standards with what we actually need. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Katie Calabrese, and I live at 26 Wellesley Road. I am a sophomore. So today, especially in this meeting, I've been hearing students referred to as some mystical creature that no one really knows about, that we need all this testing to get to. Everyone really wants to help them, but no one is really sure how to. And I feel that a lot of people feel that we need to have all this testing. Well, we're here. We're not apathetic. You can ask us. Many of our students are very much against this plan, and we know what we want and what we need. Testing is not going to tell that. What we want and what we need is better education, smaller classrooms, and less testing. I also feel that the fact that we want to be more involved in this, well, I don't understand why, if the point of this is to engage students and to stop students from being bored and create more, bring us into adulthood, why aren't we involved in this? Isn't that the true meaning of growing up and becoming adults, is to be involved in your own curriculum? It seems, though, that the point that we're referred to in this third person, that students need this, students need that, infers that we don't care, which we very much do. I feel that we need to postpone this plan, and it would be a huge grievance to put this plan in place. I'm not saying that this plan doesn't have good aspects, but we most definitely need to wait, and we need to have much more impact from the students because they know what they want and what they need. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rachel Egan. I live at 391 Upper Mountain Avenue in Montclair. I have 3 children in the school system here. Recently, I'm a member of Opt Out New Jersey and also the national movement that is opposed to high-stakes testing. It's growing. I have 3 children in the school system here. One is entering 9th, one is entering 2nd grade, and one is entering kindergarten. I recently, along with my daughter, we decided that she would not sit the NJS, and she refused that exam. We were told that we were only mandated to administer the exam and that we can in fact refuse it. I understand this is true up until grade 8. I would like to know what happens after grade 8. I would like to say that from experience of high-stakes testing, I was once a child, like everybody here. It was really frightening, it was stressful, it took away my love of going to school. Those were the days I detested going to school. The weeks before it were misery. I, at the moment, have children, little tiny kids who love school, and they have the most amazing teachers I've ever met in my life. And I am terrified that they are going to turn into children that cry to go to school. I'm asking you, please, to wait 1 year. Let's look at better ways to assess our children and our teachers. I am not against assessing. I'm against these high-stakes standardized tests. Thank you.
Again, just a correction, the common quarterly assessments are not high stakes or standardized tests.
Good evening. Good evening. Abraham Dickinson, 32 James Street, Education Shed, NAACP. First of all, I would like to say that we support the strategic plan partially. We do see some good things in the strategic plan, but we also see some hazardous things. For an example, we think that the strategic plan needs to be simplified. It is extremely complicated. Furthermore, research the Northern Strategic Plan and the Jordan City Strategic Plan and there seems to be some commonality within that plan. And I think what has people extremely disturbed about that is all these two school districts is run by the state. And being that you come from the state, initially there's an apprehension that you might be following charter school type guidelines in the other districts. We believe closing the academic gap requires dedicated resources, and I have seen that you've reached out in writing to some of the local groups here in town, such as MMPC with Project Oasis. And closing the achievement gap, we must understand that diversity of teaching must be increased. Also, our style needs to be implemented and enforced. It is the law. I would challenge 5 students here to select a little bit more is organic learning. And just a brief description is part of the reason why we have lights, the filament in the light bulb, for one of these inventions that worked with Mr. Edison. The second one was there was a fire here and there was smoke. Next one invented the gas mask. This is the type of inclusion we need in our curriculum. If we start to teach from the test, it becomes extreme hazardous for the following reason. We take a look at America, the decline of the last 50 years. We are not creators because we don't teach creativity anymore. We teach to standards, to the unknown. If we begin to teach creativity, then we'll be able to create more. After we wouldn't have to run overseas and get a tax cut that we could be receiving right now to support our schools. And I'm getting a little off base right now, but the last one talked about is financial accountability. We use over $150,000 every year plus through our school lunch program. And the physically seems to be accountability that we're talking to. I want to hold my teachers accountable just like we hold our students accountable. There are other things that's happening in the school districts that necessarily apply directly to academic and school education. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Riverman, Jill Stein, Helen Nazrakis, Alana Schreiber.
My name is Max Curlin, and I live at 223 Orange Road. I'm a sophomore at Montclair High School, and I am a member of CGI. I was fortunate enough to have Mr. Earl, our high school principal, come speak with us along with the other small business community CSJ to discuss with us the changes that we will be facing next year. After hearing him speak, I was left with many questions and concerns about the plan and my academic future. First off, students that aren't members of the small business communities they were not formally informed about the changes for next year. And with your essential that moment you talked about creating equality for all students, and I don't see how we can go about that when more than half the students at the high school are unaware of the changes that will be happening next year. So I think all students have the right to be informed about what's changing next year because it will be directly affecting them. Another thing that Mr. Earl talked about was the quarterly testing, and he told us that they will be cumulative with information and themes being reintroduced with every test. While for some subjects like math that can be very effective, I still use formulas and ideas I learned in years prior and at the beginning of the year. But for some subjects that I take and a lot of other students take, the themes and ideas cannot be applied throughout the whole year, and a lot of the ideas you learn once you study them, and there's no point going over them. I don't see the point in being tested on the start of the letter 4 times a year when I have it once. And another thing is that during your presentation, you kept on talking about how you talk with administrators and parents about students' needs. academic needs, but it's the students that you should hear from, because we organized a meeting of 10 of us, 10 students, and we came together and we were able to talk, listen to each other, collaborate with each other, and you think that what we're trying to do, what the whole world is trying to do, is can be very productive, but we need to close the academic gap. And by listening to everyone and listening to all parties, we'll be able to achieve that effectively. With the petition that has been brought up multiple times, we just request that for the things that aren't state mandated, that we just postpone them a year so we can work on them. A lot of things are very broad. For instance, you talk about ways that we can close the achievement gap and things that affect small learning communities. For instance, one thing said that small learning communities need to follow the rubric that will be made, but we're listening to that beginning of next year, and there's been no rubrics made, so there's a lot of things that are unclear and haven't been developed yet. So, thank you.
Just to be clear, we wouldn't be assessing you on detailed things like I said in the presentation. So there are certain things that, if you're learning how to write a persuasive essay, you write a persuasive essay at the end of the year, at that final, just like you do in your final assessments, but certainly not be tested or assessed on details from a previous quarter.
Hi, my name is Jill Stein. I'm the parent of 4 children in the public school system, and I'm also a veteran teacher in Hudson County for the past 25 years. I come to you tonight to talk about your common quarterly assessment. Assessment should drive instruction, yet how many and at what price to our students? 5 subjects, 4 times a year equals 4 weeks of district tests and 4 weeks of lost educational teaching. Additionally,
I know the tests take a week, these are regular assessments to be taken in lieu of current assessments.
okay, they're not a class period at the time. Additionally, preparing for these tests, teaching to the tests equals more lost teaching time and not valuable instruction time, which is critical to our students, and especially those students in your area of the achievement gap. You said that the purpose of these tests is to inform student learning, and I would argue that it does not inform student learning, but it would inform competition between teachers and schools. Why bring these assessments if it is to drive instruction and provide more accurate individual instruction to those students? I believe in differentiating instruction and meeting our students where their needs are and instructing them at that level. Teachers will teach these rigorous new common core standards and will raise the bar of instruction. But I must tell you that these common quarterly assessments are not the answer. I am a wonderful, creative teacher in a bilingual elementary school in Hudson County. Yet my students don't understand why they don't see me for weeks at a time during testing, or district testing and our state testing during the year, when all they want is continuing instructional time. And unfortunately, my answer to them is, I don't know, it's pretty sad. Thank you very much.
The quarterly assessments will not interrupt school for a week's time. They take place during a regular class session.
Hi, I'm Helen Mazarakis. I 222 North Mountain. I have 3 kids who've gone through the system, one still in the system, and I'm the soon-to-be former co-chair of the Montclair High School school action team. I have to say I'm a little confused by the hostility and the misinformation that I'm hearing from the speakers tonight. I am not under the impression that you have not been listening. I frankly feel like the listening has gone on long enough, and I would like to see this strategic plan implemented. I am excited to see what changes come. I'm excited to see, I feel the principles that you've articulated in the plan are what we've all been asking to hear. The methodology seems thorough and it seems flexible. And I'm willing to support efforts and see what happens. It seems to me that you've been very clear that if it doesn't work, we move on to the next thing. In terms of the assessments, I think I mentioned to someone on the board in a conversation that I wish you hadn't called them assessments, because I think that we all hear assessments and we think of the HESPAs and we think of the NJS. And I hate high-stakes testing too. I abhor it. But it seems to me that this is low-stakes testing. That these assessments are intended not to put burdens on the students, not to put burdens on the teachers, but to get a sense of what they're learning, and if they are learning what the teachers are teaching. I don't have a problem with that. At the high school, the current situation is that we have midterms and finals, and it is absolutely typical that students who are doing really well in class, in their semester grades and their quarterly grades, do 1 or 2 grades lower on midterms and finals. That's not an effective assessment to me. That's not an effective assessment tool. And to my way of thinking, trying quarterly assessments instead is a good idea. It's in line with what happens when you get to college. You have assessments at the midpoint of the semester and at the end of the semester. That seems appropriate to me. I'm sorry, I was just scribbling all the way through. I think that in terms of preparation for a test, someone was concerned that there would be too much test prep going on. My hope is that test prep is what we call teaching, and that in the course of each quarter, the teachers are teaching, and then they'll be able to take the assessment and do well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Alana Schreiber. I live at 86 Gordonhurst Avenue. I'm a sophomore at Montclair High School, and I also represent the Students United for Change Facebook page. We're not a group of student rebels without a cause, and we are a group of students, parents, and educators who, when concerned about Montclair education, are not afraid to speak up. We as students highly respect our educators and appreciate any effort they make to try and improve our education. However, we students want a voice in our education. We see the gap in the achievement, the test scores that lie below the line of acceptance. So naturally, we want change, but we would like to be a part of that change. We spend 180 days a year in the school, and after 4 years, that's roughly 720 days of walking the halls. And we see the reason behind this achievement gap. We see the racism and the sexism in this school that leads to segregation in the classroom, that leads some students to believe that they are not of the same worth and importance as their peers. So if the school chooses to throw the low-scoring students onto those floors, which it currently does, they're segregating us? Why should we even expect those students to try? These students are not failing school. School is failing these students. So how do we close this achievement gap? Do we put in more tests? Do we make them cumulative, or are we adding more stress? No, we promote acceptance. We desegregate these halls. We have to stop ignoring these social issues, because that is what leads to the achievement gap, when students lose faith in themselves. Most importantly, we have to listen to the students. Students are the eyewitnesses to the education issues in the school, and we're not blind. We have begun a petition, and our petition does not protest the strategic operating plan. It simply requests that it be postponed a year and reformed and redeveloped with some student assistance. In just 4 days, we received a new total of 570 signatures on our petition. That's over a quarter of the school, and if you take into account that most of the seniors were on senior option at the time, it's more than a third of the school. And I guarantee that more signatures would have been collected had the petition lasted just another 4 days. Next year, complicated enough as it is. With the state's new assessments being implemented, why should we be so quick to change everything that has already been allowed to stay the same? Let's wait a year. Let's see how we can change our education system to complement the state's new system. And let's listen to what the students have to say about it. After all, it's our education. And one more thing. I met the great social reformer Pete Seeger the other day and told him what our petition was all about, and he supports it.
Linda Ormond, Ken Brown, Cindy Herrera, Michael Vernon.
My name is Linda Ormond. I live at 86 Gordonhurst Avenue. I'm a learning specialist and a parent of two Montclair High School students. I urge the Board of Ed not to approve quarterly assessments in Montclair High School because I don't think these assessments will help us meet our goal of closing the achievement gap and better educating all our students. And because quarterly assessments is a premature and rushed solution to a problem that we have not adequately defined. Before we go to assessments, we need to look at our present curriculum. What are we teaching? To what extent is our curriculum in line with the Common Core standards? Teachers, administrators can look at that without involving the students. Also, as a parent, I know, I can see which of the Common Core standards are part of our curriculum. For example, I know with the writing curriculum in CGI, English and History, which focuses on writing persuasive essays, is perfectly aligned with Common Core standards, and that is a worthwhile instructional goal that I support. We don't need common assessments to determine learning needs, as some of the other speakers have said. Every interaction with a student in the classroom is diagnostic. Class discussions, classwork, homework, tests, quizzes, projects, debates, tell teachers who thinks on a literal level, who's functioning on a more conceptual level, who writes in full sentences, who can work with sign numbers, and so on. As far as accountability, we already have standardized tests to give the district accountability. As far as practical considerations, I'm worried about the timeline and the test instruments. Drawing conclusions based on inadequate or faulty measures could do more harm than good. It's difficult to write a test that is valid, that measures what it sets out to measure, and that's reliable, that yields the same results with the repeated administrations, and a test that's free from bias is difficult to create. How do we know that the assessments that our teams will create are better than Pearson assessments and other assessments that Dr. McCormack has alluded to? Those haven't even been developed yet. Also, we don't want to pilot a program prematurely with all of the students in the district. 2 years is a small part in the life of the school district, but a significant time in the educational life of a child. So we don't want to experiment prematurely.
Thank you very much. Cindy Herrera, Michael Vernon, Renee Marchand, Emma McGuire-Poole, Nadine Reed, David Heron, Deidre Malloy, Itai Denellen.
Hi, good evening. My name is Itai Denellen. I live at 134 Development Avenue in Montclair. voting on 32 years. It's my first school board meeting, and I just want to appreciate the tremendous energy that's here, and clearly the interest that exists in this community. We have two children who will graduate in 2028 and 2031, so we are a long way away. But my reference, I think it was important for us to be here tonight on our actual anniversary night, because there's a lot going on in education here. And what I want to applaud is this board and this community for taking the time to do this plan, and for all the board conversations that are going to go through it, but also applaud our new superintendent for doing this in the midst of some of the very complicated things happening this year, and taking the time to hire a very diverse and talented team that I think is foundational to this plan. I appreciate so much how much the accountability is very clearly spelled out about what are the key players that will be important to work to support this effort. The two things I wanted to just bring up, not about assessment, but the things that are important to my wife and to me and to our daughters is, and I appreciate there's a lot of here through the pre-K work and our K-12 system. I'd love to hear more about that at the right time, especially as there are great choices, but I'm not convinced that for the price we're paying, those choices all connect back to what's actually happening in the schools. And the other I'd like to hear more about is, if you will, the balance, the foundation that goes with the assessments around social emotional learning, and how we're preparing our students to be college and career ready, not just from an academic perspective, but from a skill perspective, so they have the resiliency to succeed in life. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herron?
Remember who was called next. Thank you, Board. Dave Herron, 136 Lincoln. I just have a few comments. I haven't met this board, so I want to thank the board for their work and thank you all for being willing to serve. I haven't been out, but I have a feeling that's going to change soon. I get it. You have to have something to see how people are doing, to see how this all works. A word of caution to the board: you must pay attention closely to the whole testing. Other states, from here to Massachusetts to Texas, California, Seattle, they're saying, let's be careful with testing so much, assessment, if you want to call it that, because it's harmful to children. It is harmful to continue to do so much assessment. Personally, I'm a little apprehensive. You want to correct health and achievement gap, guys, you didn't even know how big it was. How are you going to fix something if you don't know what you're fixing and the size of the thing you're trying to fix? And I'll hold no punches. I do not believe in a lot of testing and assessment. Don't believe in it. Didn't do it with my kids when they were in the district. We didn't do testing, period. We didn't do the standardized. We didn't do any of the state testing. They did very well. Be careful how you test, how you do the assessment. And ladies and gentlemen, there was a young lady that was over here, and I hope you heard what she said. She said there were some serious issues in the high school with where kids are put, what kids are on the top floor, what kids are on the bottom floor. I hope you're paying attention, because if we can make some predictions tonight, we know what this assessment is going to show us. That's not going to be a surprise. I'm urging this board to have some courage to look at what really needs to be looked at here, and dispense with so much assessing of our children and simply educating them. Thank you.
It's 10:15. We're going to take about a 5-10 minute break.